Hey, it's New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center, located in Fresno, California. Fresno, the heart of the Central Valley, the heart of the great state of California. I hope you have had a good morning up until this point. I hope you're enjoying your day. I hope you started your day out claiming your good before you even opened your eyes while you were still asleep, just kind of coming into consciousness, knowing that you are guided and guarded throughout the day, that there is a greater good, a greater God that you have available to you, expressing for you and through you as you go through your day. It's an amazing thing. It's freeing. You know, thoughts are very powerful things when we begin to understand the role that thoughts play in our life creation and our life experience. I heard someone say one time that having the ability to think rightly and to use that thought creates right actions in our life, versus if we live in a level of ignorance to the power of thought, and then we're subject to, through our ignorance, what life brings at us. And life comes at us at the speed of life, always. So no matter what's going on in our life, if we know that we got a bigger God, then we know there's a greater good to be seen and found within whatever obstacles that come our way. Then we know that we were created by the divine, by first cause, by God, to live this life as a being of overcoming obstacles, starting from when we learn to crawl, we learn to walk, we learn to talk, and going all the way through to adulthood, knowing that as we know the truth of who we are, we're also knowing and having a greater understanding of divine principle, but knowing that there's nothing that life brings at us that we need to turn our back on. There's nothing that we need to live in fear consciousness. And our journey is that journey to freedom. Our journey is that journey to inner embodied knowledge and using that knowledge as an expression in our life. And so that's what we've been doing. We've been going through this book that was written by Dr. Ernest Holmes called Pray and Prosper. We're moving through it. We're going to be on page 41 today. And the topic starts with dominion over evil. But before I get into that, I want to read you from the glossary in what we call the textbook, The Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes writes, he says, evil is that which seems destructive. Evil is an experience of the soul on its journey towards the realization of reality. Evil will remain a problem as long as we believe in it. Of itself, it is neither person, place, nor thing, and will disappear in the exact proportion that we cease using destructive methods. As long as we make mistakes, just so long we shall be automatically punished. We are punished by our ignorance, if you will. Now, he's talking about there, and the understanding we're talking about it in a personal level, but you can also apply that universally to all that you are experiencing in your life. And oftentimes when I talk to people about that, you know, the first thing they do is they come back and they say, but yeah, Reverend Steve, there's evil out there in the world. There is the experience of evil out there in the world, and that cannot be denied. Got it. But it is an evil that is created by individuals that have found themselves in their own consciousness to be separate from God, to be separate from a loving God, to be separate from a universal allness, and in their mistaken journey, if you will, in their inner selfishness, because they don't believe that there's more to life than what they themselves bring to it. They seek power at the expense of other people. They seek to take things from other people. They seek to do some very destructive things. Truth is, evil does not have to exist in the world, but it does exist as an experience. So as we move forward today, and as we're going through this Pray and Prosper, I want to start where we left off last week, and this is understanding the dominion of evil. And Holmes writes, he says, wherever apparent evil besets us, that can be neutralized through conscious communion with indwelling spirit. And as he talks about evil here, he's talking about anything that restricts, inhibits, takes from our ability to live life at a higher and greater degree of livingness. It's our birthright to live life and to live it more abundantly. The divine principle, God, Father, however you want to understand that, as we were created, wanted us, has purposed us to live life at ever higher and greater degrees, but it's up to us to find the truth of who we are, and once found, to put that truth into practice in our life experience. And that's what we call our spiritual journey. So he says, whatever apparent evil besets us can be neutralized through conscious communion with the indwelling spirit. This is done by resolutely turning from thinking about evil to the contemplation of its opposite, which is good, which is love, okay? All evil becomes suppositional. Good alone is real. God is good. God is love. And as we know that to the greater and higher degree that we know that, that light that shines from within us, that divine within us, the God within, the Christ within, however you want to relate to that, as we create a greater and brighter light within ourselves, we bring a greater and brighter light into the world. And as an individual, we have the power to make changes in this thing we call life in our world experience. He goes on, he says, one of the ancient scriptures tell us that whatever is of evil is of ourselves, but wherever is of good is of God. Okay, no matter what the negative experience appears to be, the real truth about it is its exact opposite. When we point out into the world and we judge evil, we create more evil in the world to be seen. You know, that's sometimes difficult, because we make, we look at, and we see things, we see things in life and we go, that's just wrong. It shouldn't be, and we want to tell, we want to judge, and we want to control that outside of ourselves. And as we seek to do so, what we actually do is we cripple our ability to make those changes in the world. We make those changes within ourselves. The master teacher told us when he said, judge not, lest you be judged. And by whatever measure you judge someone else, by that same measure, you also shall be judged. That can be may have a little trouble getting our minds wrapped around it. But when we do and we begin to plant it in our own life and to raise it up in our own life, we begin to change the life that we experience. Moving on, he says, let's see, we've got to finish up here. He says, if apparent evil says that we are sick, then the truth declares that we are perfect. If the apparent evil says that we are unhappy, then the truth declares that joy belongs to us. If the apparent evil says that we are alone and friendless, then the truth declares that we are never alone. We are always with the great reality, which in truth is included in everything that is. We're never alone. And as we seek to express our life at ever greater and higher degrees, if we seek to have more friends in our life, more relationships of a positive, nurturing nature, that again starts within us. We can't go out into the world and tell people that they have to like us, that they have to help make us happy. We cannot be a victim of someone else's ideas, thoughts, or behaviors. We have to declare the truth for ourselves, that we are the divine expressing as us, expressing through us, and there is nothing else in the world that's responsible for how we feel other than our choice to feel how we feel. That can be a little difficult in the beginning to learn, but it is a truth that you can put into practice. We talk about, and I've talked about through these various shows about spiritual tools, putting them into practice in our life, understanding that as we go through life on a day-to-day basis, and this is amazing, on a day-to-day basis, as we move through life, the more we seek to embody the spiritual tools that are available to us on an ongoing basis, that we learn what they are, and then we learn how to use them, and we continuously use them in our life to the point that they become not second nature, but first nature. They become our beingness, if you will. We've embodied them to that extent. We begin to realize that happiness comes from within. It's an amazing thing. You know, there's universities, they've done a lot of study on happiness, and you know, they talk about things outside of us that, you know, so-called good things that happen. Someone surprises you with a gift, or so on and so forth, and that, you know, like the happy meter goes up, right? But someone else in that exact same situation, the happy meter may go down. It's not the action, it's our interpretation of the action. Well, our interpretation lies solely within us, you know, and if we habitually and have habituated ourselves to a belief that we are subject to the world outside ourselves, then we become a victim. But if we habituate ourselves to understand that our good, our happiness, it's the feeling that comes from God within us, expressing through us. Viktor Frankl, who was in the prison camps in World War II in Germany, or Auschwitz, wherever he was, one of the things that he noticed was those individuals under those horrendously tough conditions, those individuals that sought to find or create happiness in their life each day, those were the individuals that survived. The ones that looked out into the surroundings and knew that they were a victim of that. They were the ones that didn't. Our support, our energy, our life comes from the divine principle. But it doesn't come through somebody else, it comes through us. You know, we live and move and have our being within God, God expressing as us and through us. We have to know that on a level beyond just intellectualizing it. So he says we are always one with the great reality in which is included everything that is. Not only is included everything that is, but also is included at that level in potential is everything that we could need, want, and desire to elevate our life, to live life at a greater degree of livingness, because that is our purpose. Evil is not overcome by fighting it or by recognizing it, but by non-resistant to it, by looking through the evil into the good. Thus evil becomes transmutated. Spiritual communion dissolves evil as light dissipates the darkness. For he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways. They shall bear thee up in their hands, lest thou dash thy tiny foot against a stone. Angels represent the higher activities of the mind. In other words, Holmes is telling us we got to go where the power is, and the power for each of us is within ourselves. That's where we got to start. That's why as I open each show, I talk about, you know, where were you at this morning as you were beginning to, you know, come into consciousness of the day? Did you and have you created a habit where before your eyes are even open that you're beginning to feel the good, you're beginning to realize that today is a gift given solely in expressing to you as an individual that you may live your life this day and live it more abundantly, that there is a divine guide, there is a divine guardian that is with you throughout the day. Because truly, as you make that declaration, as you know it, as you own it, as you declare it to be so for yourself, it unfolds in your life. We're going to take our first break, and I will see you when we come back.
Ghost Golf is Fresno's most spectacular family entertainment center. It's frightening how much fun you'll have on our 18-hole indoor haunted graveyard course. Skeletons welcome you, but watch out. All sorts of creatures may come to life. Ghost Golf is perfect for scary good parties, so book yours today. You'll get free plays at the Mummy Shooting Gallery, arcades, and air hockey. Check out our party and weekday specials online and like us on Facebook. Come play at family-friendly Ghost Golf. Good times will haunt you.
At McDermott Counseling, you will receive the highest level of care and a welcoming, safe space in which to discuss your most personal issues. Our therapists go above and beyond for you. Call 559-280-5756 or visit McDermottCounseling.com to find a caring therapist who best suits your needs. Diane Ainsworth's books of poetry and scriptures are available at CondeoPress.com and as ebooks at Amazon.com. Diane hopes the words in her books will convey the unconditional love Jesus has for you. Learn more at godsinspirationsblog.wordpress.com and get a copy of Diane's books today.
Hi everyone, I am Sparkle Sujin with the Everything Sparkle Show. Tune in every Thursday live at 4 p.m. You will see people that are motivational, inspirational, inspiring, and of course, entertaining. We have a great time. We learn things about how big celebrities are inspiring big names here in Fresno. Hugh Hefner is the reason we have Fresno Magazine, and Gnarly Charlie got his start because Johnny Carson told him to. So, tune in, you'll learn something new, and have a good time.
Hello everyone, my name is Miss G. I offer fun and affordable promotion and advertisement on my talk show. It is called Fresno Vibes. We talk, we play awesome music. I also feature a bunch of different bartenders from different places. I like to have restaurants. I like to have any event, any kind of fun stuff. Contact me at rmgmissg@gmail.com and we will have so much fun, and we will promote your business, promote your event right here on my show. So contact me. We'll have fun. Thank you.
Pour yourself a glass of Crybaby wine, available at the market and Sam's Italian Deli. And remember to ask for Crybaby wine at your favorite restaurant.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, Steve Walling, Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center in Fresno, California. And today we are continuing through the book Pray and Prosper by Dr. Ernest Holmes. We just basically finished that part about evil. You know, it's a concept that it's important that we understand. We don't turn our back. You know, when we say that God is all that is, that God is perfect, that God is good, that God is love, we don't turn our backs on the experience and expression in the world, but we need to understand where our true power is and where it comes to within us in changing that. And once we get a handle on that, we are incredibly powerful and dynamic forces, not only in our life, but in the lives of those around us. So, moving on, Holmes, under the title, he says, not much speaking, but deep feeling. And here, we're really getting to where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. You know, oftentimes people will get involved with doing affirmative treatment prayer, if you will, and they are really rich in their vocabulary. They're incredible in so many ways, but it's all intellectualization and it's not internal realization. And we've got to get to that point of internal realization that comes through feeling, through an understanding within ourselves of a beingness, okay? He says, not everyone that say unto me, Lord, Lord, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Our Father which art in heaven is the divine presence incarnated in us. The will of this divine presence is peace, is joy, is goodness, is truth, is beauty. Ultimately, it's an incredible love, a love beyond our ability to understand, but we can know that it's there, and we can embody it to the level that we can understand it. And in that level of understanding, we know that we can grow. That's part of our spiritual journey, is learning the truth of who we are. As we learn the truth of who we are, we're also learning the truth, the divine principle of God itself. He says, we know that this is the will of God, okay? This beauty, truth, love, right? We know that this is the will of God because it is the nature of God, the nature of God. And we were each and individually created in the image and the likeness, in the nature of God. That potential, that capability to live, express, and to be creative in our life is there in each and every one of us. You know, we've got to, I just want to say we got to name it and claim it, so to speak. He says it's not because of much speaking that we are heard, but rather because of deep, earnest, and prayerful acceptance. When we get to this understanding of acceptance at this level, we're talking about an ownership, an embodiment of an already beingness, it's already so. It is the what is. That it's not a future event. It's not something beyond where we're at. It's not something we're hoping for or asking for, but we have realized it as already being so, and we have experienced it within ourselves. When we get to that point, when we have that knowingness, okay, you might say at that point is when we can, as we know that it is already there, whatever it is, whether it be health, whether it be abundance, whether it be relationships, when we know that it's already there, our very next thought is gratitude and thanksgiving. Being thankful, not for something that's coming, because you can be thankful for something that's coming and it may never come. But if you're thankful for what you already have, what is already here, what is already expressing, then truly you are in a consciousness of gratitude for the what is. This is why as we go through the day, when we come to the end of the day, taking time to reflect back on the day and be grateful, as we are grateful for all the good that we've had during the day, even if that good may have been obstacles that we have had to either overcome or we're continuing to work on overcoming. But we know that we have a bigger God. We can be thankful for that. We know that we are divinely guided and guarded. We can be thankful for that. Gratitude can go on and go deep. And as we do that for ourselves, within ourselves, and for a lot of us maybe, writing a gratitude list at night, journaling about it, very powerful tools. Bringing our consciousness and our thinking in that alignment of acceptance, okay? So he says here, in this deep communion, we should not try to think out beforehand what words we are going to use as we're speaking our word. If we're speaking something that we've memorized, we're speaking something that we've written, we're not making that deep connection with our subjective mind. It's when we allow the spontaneity of the thought, the ideas, the images, and the feelings that well up from within us, okay? He says, instead of listening to what we are saying, we should say what we are listening to. In other words, there is a vast difference between these two mental attitudes. Our words should be the outcome of deep inner conviction which goes beyond words, but which at the same time gives birth to them. That feeling, that realization, and that acceptance. And it's there, it's complete, and it's whole. It's within us, but it's within the divine principle. There might be few words used in a certain prayer or meditation, but the words would be very meaningful. When we address the divine presence within and around us, we should not do so with empty phrases, but with thoughts filled with the deepest sense of reality. When we use the words all power, there should be a reaction in our consciousness that all power is actually loosed through these words. Thoughts, words spoken in silence with this deep conviction have more power than volumes merely repeated. There is a power and a presence within each and every one of us. As we go to it, as we own it, as we commune with it, as we realize that there is a unity from which there is no other, and we are in that unity, we are part of that unity, and that unity is divine principle. And it's not like, we're picking up the phone and dialing somebody out there that may or may not be on the other end to answer. The answer is here, is now, and it is within us. We can own that. So he says, anticipation and realization. This is kind of the next part of this process. How can we anticipate unless we realize? How can we realize unless we recognize? How can we recognize unless we believe? What are we recognizing? What are we realizing? We're recognizing and realizing the truth as already is, as we speak our word. Spiritual communion anticipates the answer to its prayer. When I first started studying Ernest Holmes' writing, and you'll find this not infrequently. When he talks about prayer, he says, the answer to prayer is in the prayer. And for a while, I had a little bit of a difficulty. I don't know about you, but I had a little bit of a difficulty in kind of wrapping my mind around what did he mean by the answer is in the prayer. Well, the answer is in the prayer because as we are speaking, whether it be vocally or whether it be in the silence within ourselves, that the answer is in the knowingness, the already within us acceptance of the beingness, the so-ness, the demonstration, the manifestation, and the experience of that which that is. Those are not things that we can necessarily put into words, but they are things that we can experience within ourselves and our imagination as feelings, as acceptance and realization and knowingness. And that's kind of what he was talking about. He says spiritual communion enters into the joy of recognition of acceptance and anticipates the divine abundance, that it will provide a more lavish supply than we have ever conceived or dreamed of. Spiritual communion places its bowl of acceptance under the ever outpouring horn of plenty, and it places it right side up, rather than upside down. The Spirit can only give us what we take. And since the taking is an act of consciousness, we must be actively aware of the presence of our desire. Aware of the presence, the end result, the demonstration, the reality, the truth of our desire. Okay, that's where we got to be. And so we must know that the gift is made before we see it. Consciousness must receive the gift. We can't be treating, if you will, praying, if you will, without not just a belief in what it is that we're treating and praying for. It's not just a belief. It is an actualized reception within ourselves as this reality already being so. That takes a little bit of practice to get to. And oftentimes we start off maybe in smaller steps, smaller understanding, but it is there, it is powerful, and it is available. You know, when we say there's a power and a presence for good in the universe that's available to each and every one of us, we are speaking powerful words of truth. But if you don't have a realization that they're powerful words of truth as you speak them, then your realization will be only the demonstration that just speaking words will demonstrate in your life. Okay? Think about it. Recognition, unity, and command. I'm looking at the clock. We're going to take our next break, and I'm going to pick this up when we come back. Recognition, unity, and command. I'll see you then.
With Organic Pastures Raw Milk, you're getting a product that has been meticulously managed from grass to glass. From our pastures to our dairy, creamery, and distribution, we work hard to produce a product that is safe and clean for you.
Got lactose intolerance or dairy allergies? Discover delicious raw milk and discover dairy the way it's supposed to be. We provide tours and would love to see you. Come visit the cows, watch the milking, the cheese being made, and learn all about raw milk. We're just 20 miles south and west of Fresno, California. Call to schedule a tour at 559-846-9732.
The Saga of Bridget and Amanda by Carol Love Forbes brings to life the struggles of historical women in early America. Find the Saga of Bridget and Amanda on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and order your copy today.
You enter this door with expired tags. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of regulations, a dimension of long waits. You have reached the registration zone. What looks like an ordinary shop is actually Mitchell's Smog, located in the heart of the Tower District, a few minutes from the DMV. Mitchell's Smog offers your vehicle a star-certified smog inspection. So remember Mitchell's Smog when you need to pass through the registration.
Christy Majors is your local real estate connection. With a solid, hard-working team, traditional listings, short sales, probate listings, and foreclosures are treated in a personal and caring way and close in a timely fashion. Since 2009, Team Majors has closed more than $75 million worth of homes all over California. Reliable and trustworthy, Christy and her team will go the extra mile for every client, whether selling or buying a home. So give Team Majors a call at 559-464-5606 or visit teammajors.com.
After a tough day at the track, cleaning up can be a time-consuming task. That's why we use Extreme Cleaner, the non-toxic, biodegradable, multi-purpose cleaner and degreaser. Extreme Cleaner cuts through even the toughest of grease and grime. Fast. Great for cleaning tools and work surfaces. Extreme Cleaner. Tough on grime, safe on the environment. Visit extremecleaner.com to find a retailer near you.
When you experience flooding in your home, you need to call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service at 559-213-9430. After soaking in water for only 45 minutes, carpet starts to come apart. Clean Master Emergency Flood Service can help, and not just with carpet repair. They also offer carpet cleaning, upholstery cleaning, carpet installation, and more. Call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service, and they'll be there in 60 minutes. Call 559-213-9430.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling, from the Spiritual Awareness Center, located in Fresno, California. So before we went to the break, I said we're going to come back and we're going to talk about recognition, unity, and command. When Jesus stood before the tomb of Lazarus, he first said, "Father, I thank thee that thou heard me." He came to with an understanding of gratitude and thanksgiving. You see, he started off with that as he was speaking to the divine principle, as if he'd already been heard, as if his word had already demonstrated. That's where he was at, and it was at a place of also gratitude at that time. He says, "Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me." He recognized that the divine would hear. He foreknew and accepted that what he was going to do would be received and acted upon. He recognized a principle of creativity at work for him, in him, through him, and around him, and in the direction which he indicated. In our life, in every moment of our life. Joel Goldsmith used to talk about practicing the presence of God. Well, what does it mean to practice the presence of God, you might ask? Does it mean always walking around with, your hands folded like you're always repeating prayers or something like that? No, that's not what it means. Practicing the presence of God means that within yourself you live in a state of inner peace, knowing that you are an expression of the divine principle, that as you know that about yourself, you also know that about all of creation, whether it be materiality, spirituality, whether it be, something of a sense nature or of a spiritual nature, that all that is God expressing in all ways, and that we are, not only are we the beneficiaries of it, but we are the expression of it. And in that expression, as we are sons and daughters of our Father, Mother, God, however you want to understand that in that creative moment for each and every one of us, that there was a potential created, kind of like a vault which contains everything that we could need, want, desire, so that we could live our life as individuals and live it more abundantly as those individuals, doing the things that we have the desire individually to do, which is a good thing because, it would be kind of boring if we all had a desire for the same thing. But in our understanding, in our desires, the potential is there for us. We can open that door. We can reach in. We can see the inner sanctum, if you will, and we can accept the gifts that are there in potential and see them demonstrated and manifested in our life. He says here, he goes on, as he talks about Jesus and Lazarus, he says, the next step in his prayer was, "And I knew thou hearest me always." When we're speaking and we're affirming our good, If you know that in potential, everything you need, want, desire is available to you, if you can embody the realization that it is already so, we're recognizing that the divine hears us always, has pre-heard us, if you will, before we ever even thought of the things that we may have thought of. One of the things that the master teacher said was, before you speak the words, my Father has answered. The prayer has already been answered. We have to get to that point of accepting the already so beingness of it, if you will. He says, this was recognition of complete unity and oneness. No doubts, no fears, no uncertainties, no lacks, no limitations or restrictions, no forlorn hope or idle daydreaming, no wistful wishing. All those things, all of us have experienced at some time in our life. And every one of them are disempowering thoughts, disempowering feelings. Sometimes they seem like they're overwhelming. If you're not experienced in seeing those various doubts, anxieties, fears, worries, seeing them for what they truly are, and that is a powerless expression within our mind based on things that are part biological, physiological, that have preserved the human race through evolution, and part what race conscious, what society tells us we should have doubt, fear, anxiety, and worry about. None of those things have power over us except for the power that we give it. And when we begin to recognize that, then we can begin to self-empower. This is why it's important that we understand that it's not someone outside of us that is responsible for our happiness, our love, for our livingness, for our experiencing goodness and prosperity on all levels in our life. The power exists within us. We have the availability, the potentiality, once we learn about it, once we learn to go to it, once we accept that it's there, once we open up our belief through faith to a greater and higher degree of acceptance. He says here, he said, I knew. How brief, but how satisfying. How simple, how absolute. There was no subtlety, no subterfuge, no denial. I know that thou hearest me always. This is neither a wail of despair nor a form of hope. It is free from both these illusions. It is a complete unification. And ultimately, that's kind of the endpoint that we get when we recognize the truth of who we are. We're recognizing our unification, our oneness, not just with, but as God expressing as us. He says, now a strange thing takes place in this remarkable prayer, this communication with the infinite, that raised the dead and caused Lazarus to come out of his tomb. Jesus turned, and in a loud voice he said, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was bound came forth. This was not a petition of supplication. It is not a sacrifice. It is a command. Lazarus, come forth. Can you get to that point within yourself as you're speaking your word? When we get to that, we call it the declarative part of affirmative prayer. Can you declare and speak your word with confidence, faith, and belief that it is already so? No doubt, no fear, no worry, no anxiety, no hope, no wishing. It is a complete confidence that is an embodiment within our minds, our hearts, our beingness, and we express it. There's a law that responds to that, and the law always responds at our level. If we feed that law weakness, the law feeds us back weakness. So he says, this is not a petition of supplication. It's not a sacrifice. It is a command. Lazarus, come forth. Loose him and let him go. Jesus spoke as one having authority. He had complied with the law. He had recognized it. He had become unified with it. He had acknowledged the divine presence and infused its essence in his own soul. It breathed through his spirit, and now it flowed forth through his word as a command. Lazarus, come forth. This is dominion. Wow. I mean, that's just pretty darn awesome, So he says, Holmes goes on, he says, the contemplation of reality, prayer touches the very well springs of our being, and through faith projects the invisible to to the visible. Faith is the fuel, the strength, and the power that we put into the prayer. You know, faith is it is the substance. It's the substance of things hoped for, and it's the evidence, not something ethereal, but evidence. Evidence is real, is tangible. It's the evidence of things not seen, but yet they're on their way. They're here in some sense. Things which are seen were not made of things which do appear. This means that what we see comes out of what we don't see. Substance, not hope. Substance, okay? He says we should contemplate the presence of this divine kingdom to which Jesus referred when he said, the kingdom of God is at hand. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. My Father is also your Father. The kingdom of heaven exists within us, not separate from us. I and my Father are one. He was the great example, not the great exception. We open our minds, our hearts, and our understanding to that. We allow that to permeate our entire beingness. And we can. This is part of, as we do our daily spiritual practices through meditation, through continuing affirming in our prayer work and affirmations, through, whether it's journaling, through gratitude, there's so much that we can do. And all of that seeks to align ourselves with the divine and to inculcate in our subjective mind the truth of who we are, that it may express through us in our life. Incredible. He says, the prayer of wholeness is a contemplation of wholeness. The prayer of beauty enters into the essence of beauty from which flows the beautiful. The soul is wed to the source of its being. At the center of our thought, God goes forth into creation. This creative act is eternal, tireless, and without effort. We are all created equally, not necessarily born equally. Sometimes we're born in dire situations, and sometimes we're born in incredibly wonderful situations. But no matter where we are at birth, we have within us the ability, the tools, the availability, the power, the presence, the divine principle. When you have God in a knowing way, you have a bigger God than anything that may be expressing or you may be experiencing in your life. It's a journey for each of us. But it's a journey that we were all created to make. He says, as we contemplate the essence of being, our oneness with all life, that which we dwell upon springs into our experience, projected from an invisible source which is self-energizing and self-sustaining. And if we sit around and we see ourselves as victims of whatever, that's what we're creating. We are the wizard behind the curtain. We are the creator of our life experience. I don't know about you, but I really don't think that creating victimhood in my life is someplace that I want to be. And it's no place that anybody has to be. Today, there's a lot of people that they claim hopelessness and helplessness. But that claim is a damnation that they make for themselves, a command that they make for their life experience. How that came about in their lives is not important. What's important is that at some point they realize the power that they are and put that power into play in their life. And it's hard sometimes. If you don't believe that you're empowered and someone comes and tells you that you're empowered, that's like, sure, right. I don't think so. Anyway, we've been moving along faster than I can even begin to contemplate today. We're going to take our last break, and I'll see you when we come back.
Pour yourself a glass of Crybaby wine, available at the market and Sam's Italian Deli. And remember to ask for Crybaby wine at your favorite restaurant.
Are you or a member of your family beginning to show early signs of forgetfulness that may be Alzheimer's or dementia? The only way to be sure is through an expensive brain scan. Dr. Parminder Bhatia of the Neuropain Medical Center is helping in a clinical trial for those with memory problems, dementia, or mild Alzheimer's disease. Those accepted into the trial will have all costs paid for, from diagnosis to evaluations and trial medicine. There is no cost for those who are accepted in the trial, and there may even be some compensation for the patient's time and travel. For more information, call 559-437-9700, extension 310, and visit neuropain.com.
Call PG's Catering for all your special occasions. Available to cook any variety of foods and desserts that will leave your taste buds wanting more. Call 559-558-2682 and follow Peaches on Instagram and Facebook.
Visit the beautiful city of Exeter and visit ExeterChamber.com. The Chamber's mission is to promote, support, and enable Exeter to prosper, creating a strong local economy, promoting community, and providing networking opportunities. Follow the Chamber on Facebook and Twitter, or give the Chamber a call at 559-592-2919.
Hi, I'm the host of New Thought Talk, Reverend Steve Walling, and I want to take a moment today and give you an opportunity to support our ministry, support our show. You can do that through a PayPal payment. You send the payment through PayPal to the email address of Madera, MADERASAC @gmail.com. If you don't have a PayPal account, you can go down below the link and you can find where you can enter a debit or credit card. I want to thank those that have supported us and those that will continue to support us. You have a great day. Bye.
The Kern family of the Kern Family Farm invites you to eat delicious, nutritious, organic produce available at the Gnarly Carrot, located at 32954 Road 222 in North Fork, California. The Gnarly Carrot is a local, natural, seasonally changing market, offering a wide range of products from local Central Valley vendors. Get your caffeine fix, grab a smoothie, and support small businesses. Learn more at KernFamilyFarm.com and visit the Gnarly Carrot today.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Walling from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in Fresno, California. We've reached that point in the book now where Dr. Holmes offers various prayers. So today will probably be the last that we will be visiting this as a book, although the topics we'll come back to from time to time. I'm just going to go through and read some of these as we close out. He's got the prayer of love and friendship, that they may be one even as we are one. We are never alone. We weren't meant to be alone. If we are experiencing in our own life a lack, if you will, we can know a greater truth. When we own friendship within our hearts and minds, we'll see friendship expressed in our life. There was an old saying years ago, something like, to have a friend, be a friend. And it's kind of simplistic, but in a sense, that's kind of what we do. We create a reality of belief and understanding within ourselves. He says, the prayer of the perfect heart. I'm the divine center of perfection within me. I am free from every sense of burden, strain, or tension. Do you have a heavy heart? Are you hurting? You don't have to. And if you look out through your eyes and you see unhappiness, I know that it can be difficult if your mind is in that space, if you will. But growing up, I often heard people say something to the effect that God loves you, and I used to think, okay, well, that's fine. What does that mean? Well, I can tell you today what it means. When I say God loves you, I'm not speaking in a metaphorical way. God really does love you. God is love. God is the creative force, the source, the oneness behind all that is. And God is expressing right here, right now, in your life by expressing as you and through you. You have available to you. Take time. Visit yourself daily. Talk to yourself in a way that affirms the truth of who you are. You are good because you are God as you. Moving forward, he says, the prayer of circulation, assimilation, and elimination. Basically, that's stuff within our body, systems and beingness, but it can also be in our day-to-day life experience, that we may circulate through life in a positive way and assimilate a greater good, abundance, prosperity, and love and light in our life. And because we circulate it, what comes in, we give back. We keep the circulation going. Moving on, he says the prayer for successful business. One of the things that as I was growing up, that people always, they talked about successful people not in a real positive way, like, maybe they got their success by stealing or, stepping on some other person or whatever. Money, the love of money, that was evil and so on. When you realize that the divine principle created you to live life more prosperously and abundantly, that's like a command. It's a command from the universe to each and every one of us. But that command is not an empty command. It's a command that comes with reinforcements, with supplies. We just have to learn how to crack the code within ourselves to see those supplies, those reinforcements expressed in our life. And as we do, as we day to day, move forward in our belief and build our faith and create through our affirming a greater good and realizing and accepting more goodness and godness into our life each and every day, we create a successful life experience. We can take that not only from our life but into our business, if you will, our studies if we're a student, or whatever it is, parenting, friendship, spouse. We can all do that. We can create greater good, more abundance, more love, more light. He says here he's got group prayer. Group prayers are interesting. There was a friend and a mentor of mine as I was studying. He said the one thing about Science of Mind and New Thought, he says we gave up the idea of sin as it was traditionally understood. And as we gave up the idea of sin, we gave up the tool, the hook, if you will, of guilt. And therefore, we don't have something to hook people to come into our centers, our churches on Sunday. And so we have a lot of New Thought people out in the world that from time to time they show up. And I suppose that there's some truth in that. But as I have grown within my understanding of New Thought, religious science, science of mind, and spirit, I've come to realize that there is a power and a presence for good in the universe. We got that, okay? But there is a power in the presence of like-minded, spiritually directed individuals of our own thought, ideal, consciousness, that when we come together as a group, there's a dynamic, an energy that is so powerful, it's tangible, it can be felt, can be experienced. And it's kind of like recharging our batteries, it's kind of like growing spiritually, but ultimately it's something that really can't really be described. It can only be experienced. So, my thoughts as we close out this book, I hope you've enjoyed the book. I hope you enjoyed the way I went through it. I oftentimes when I teach for my students, we'll go through and we'll really get into and drill down on things. Sometimes we just, we kind of skim through it. But I wanted to go through this and spend some time on it because praying and prospering in our life is such a powerful concept and idea available to each and every one of us as New Thought practitioners, as Science of Mind and Spirit practitioners, that knowing there is a power and a presence is fine, but we got to put that into practice. We got to bring it into play in our life. We need to, as individuals, see our life demonstrating at greater and higher levels, because that, as I say, we have a need to see that, because as we see greater and higher levels expressing in our life, fulfilling that need, it builds our confidence. Now, some people, they can build their confidence just on their own thought processes, but a lot of people, it's kind of like the old saying, "Show me the money," so to speak. Don't try and take on the whole universe in the beginning. Do small steps as you see things begin to demonstrate in your life. Don't attribute them to happenstance, circumstance, whatever. Attribute them to the fact that you took the time, that you spoke the words, and in that you realize that as you speak your words, you don't put the power in your words. The law responds, the law of God, the law of cause and effect. You are the, if you will, the guidance system. The law provides the power. The law provides the beingness, the creativeness. The substance is there, spiritual substance. The power is there, power in the law. The presence of God is always there. You're never alone wherever you're at. As we bring these things together, as we understand them, as we enfold them and empower and embody them in our day-to-day life experience, we begin to grow. We begin to demonstrate. We create a greater light in our life, but more importantly, or as importantly, we create a greater light in the world. Ernest Holmes believed, and I believe with him, that there is a way to create a world that will work for everyone. And that's by not creating a world that works for everyone, but by creating ourselves where we can work best in our world and bring our light in our world. And as we do, the greater world will be created. We can't go out and tell the world how to be great. We can't go out and make the world be great. We can do that for ourselves. We can express that for ourselves. We can understand that for ourselves, embody it for ourselves, and we can demonstrate it for ourselves. So I hope you've enjoyed this. This is part 9. You can go back, you can find the various shows on YouTube or on Facebook, and we'll see you next week with something new. And remember, as you go through the week, the light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Because truly, wherever you are, God is there. All is well. Blessings, my friends. I'll see you when we come back next time. Thank you. Julia Tadich, is that pronounced that correct?
Tadich.
Tadich. Okay.
Like Tadich's Bar and Grill in San Francisco.
Or like Tadich is a stitch, right?
Oh,
kind of, yeah. All right,
okay.
and so we're going to talk about all things real estate in the way of